The Marine Corps requires leaders of all ranks to have a deep understanding of war and the employment of force. MCDP 1 reminds Marines that the military profession is a thinking profession. Every Marine is expected to be a student of the art and science of war. It goes on to say that every Marine has an individual responsibility to study the profession of arms. Self-directed study in the art and science of war is at least equal in importance to maintaining physical condition and should receive at least equal time. The Marine Corps Association understands the critical importance of ensuring that Marines are as mentally ready for combat as they are physically ready. That is why we offer an entire page dedicated to wargaming on our website. We have recommendations for both tabletop board games as well as computer games. And for Marine Corps Association members, there is a discount code for war game design studios that you can find on the website. War games are a great way to immerse yourself in history and to put yourself in the shoes of the great leaders of history. Go beyond guided instruction and experience the thrill of wargaming. Check us out at mca-marines.org/decision-making-exercises/wargaming-2. That's mca-marines.org/decision-making-exercises/wargaming-2. Take your training to the next level. Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners. This is episode 204. This week, we continue with our audio-only Modern Day Marine 2025 series. As with the previous MDMs, we were recording from the showroom floor, but as some of you know, this year we recorded some on video for our YouTube channel and others we recorded as audio-only podcasts. For the next few weeks, we will be releasing these audio-only conversations that range from veteran support organizations to future ops and wargaming to Toys for Tots. We're really looking forward to sharing these conversations with you. This week's episode features Gunnery Sergeant Kevin Harris. Gunny Harris was the Delta Company Course Chief at the School of Infantry East, but took over the role of Battalion Chief Instructor in June. Gunny talks to us about his impressions of modern-day Marine and how innovation plays into his training plan, namely drones and UAS, and how he applies this knowledge into developing future Marine infantrymen. This is episode 204. Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners, thank you for joining us and your continued support. I'm Vic. I'm here with William.
Howdy, y'all.
And we're really excited to be welcoming Gunnery Sergeant Kevin Harris to the show. How you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm good. How are you?
And you're over at School of Infantry East, is that correct?
I am.
And you are, you're an infantryman, obviously, by trade. What specific MOS?
So I'm 0369 Infantry Unit Leader,
Okay.
Currently in the position of Delta Company Course Chief up at Battalion.
Okay.
And I'll be assuming the role of Battalion Chief Instructor starting in June,
Nice.
July timeframe. Yep.
So what brings you to Modern Day Marine today?
I just want to come out and see all the new things, different exhibits they had going on.
Yeah.
Just to see the new capabilities and future capabilities of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, interesting. What have you sort of keyed in on in your time thus far?
I would say probably a lot of the unmanned vehicles, aerial and non-aerial vehicles. Those are pretty cool, and some of the new weaponry as well. What
are you guys doing at the School of Infantry? Are you started to integrate autonomous systems into the POI, or again, preparing the Marines for this emerging tech?
So a little bit. We've been using some tablets and things like that we're moving more towards with a squad level.
Okay.
But that's just more for the educational purposes. But now we're looking to start integrating the SOI-E into our courses to show the students the capabilities and the threats we have.
Yeah, in a former life of mine, when I was a company commander, I'm an Amtracker by trade, but we were, as everybody in the Long War was serving in a provisional infantry capacity, we were given the UAS, the small ones and I forget what they were called. Was it? Fuck, I don't even want to try it because I'm gonna fuck it up. But it was the ones that went in the backpack. You put it together, throw it, and it would essentially when you were done, it would crash and fall apart, and you'd put it back together and then put it in your back. And that was But that was OJT, like straight up. Is that something you guys are trying to get ahead of now? Is that the Marines are going to be exposed to these things in the future?
Yes, so I know that coming from 3rd LCT before getting to SOI, we had a lot of younger Marines, the Lance Corporals. Corporals were working on those quadcopters, the Skydios, things like that to get them introduced to that, especially with moving to Force Design 2030.
Yeah.
But we're definitely trying to give them more exposure as we go through, so they understand that, and one of the things too is the cell phone threat. We've seen a lot of that problem in Ukraine, and just different pinging of electronic devices. So we're trying to make sure they understand that the electromagnetic spectrum is a huge part of the future warfare. And just trying to get a good understanding for them, so that way going forward to the Fleet Marine Force, they can better operate.
You dropped one of our big trigger terms we like to talk about, especially in the Gazette, Force Design. What is your experiences with meeting the expectation of Force Designs, and what have been some of the challenges and successes you've experienced along the way?
So I'd say, and I started it when in 2020, when I was out in 1-3, we started the light transition before we really moved into the IBX-30 workup and deployment prior to them moving to the 3rd LCT establishment. I would say that it was difficult to start for everybody to understand that, one, moving more, being very centralized in the past however many years, moving to more decentralized command with those staff sergeant squad leaders, being able to take out their squads and operate days on end or weeks on end without real much communications at all. And the communication capability, as much as we have this this advancement in technology, with the understanding that, how are we going to be able to resupply our forces, whether it's squad, platoon, company level, on these distributed islands and littorals. So all of that has been pretty interesting as a whole. I know that they've made leaps and bounds from where we started in 2020, and I'm just interested to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, you and me both. What about, just a little bit earlier today, I was talking with Sergeant Major Smiley, who's the Sergeant Major of our Warfighting Lab, and, one of the big things he was talking about was the IBXs and all the feedback that they're getting. Is that stuff, is that translating down to you guys then at the sort of entry-level training, the SOI?
It is and it isn't. I mean,
okay.
We're still keeping it at the basic level, because we have to teach them those ground level skills to build them up to that. But it's definitely something that's introduced, especially going into, which I could probably bring us to our future points of the squad instructor model at SOI. But having those talks, discussions, guided debriefs with the students, and explaining to them that, like, as they're doing their training, there's also other things that are going to get built upon the basics they're learning at that level when they get to the Fleet Marine Force and deployment.
Cool. What about generationally? Now, I'm a Gen Xer, so, fucking Lensatic Compass was still pretty new for us. What are you seeing as far as this emerging generation? I see, a group of Lance Corporals over here. Like, are they much more familiar because tech is just a part of life now, or so is it, as you're teaching those basics, is it hard to keep them sort of almost in an analog mindset and through entry-level training, or are they more like, are they so drawn to the tech that it's hard to reinforce the basics, or do you find that they are enjoying sort of that ground level entry-level stuff?
I would say from our generation, being, I'm going to call us dumb, but we were very easily told to do this, do that, and this generation of Marines are very capable with electronics more than we are. I think it takes us a little bit more to get spun up with the electronic devices than them, because they're more privy with it, especially with the upcoming ones in the last couple of years, where they were pretty much completely online driven due to the COVID years.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're very in tune with it when we're doing more of the catching up, which is what we saw in Force Design 2030, but then also at the SOIs. But yeah, they're pretty quick with it, and I would say too they're very. I know we're driving towards that critical thinker.
Yeah.
They ask more questions. They want to know the why, and the why is good. Sometimes we have to make that. It's like a blend. So the understanding of when it's good to ask questions. It's good to understand the why at all times, because they should understand that. And then also sometimes understanding that they're going to get an order from their sergeant, whoever their unit or small unit leader is, to take the hill, and they got to take the hill.
Yeah. No, that is an interesting balance. I know we oftentimes, I was growing up, would sort of fall back on the, we would almost talk out of both sides of our mouth. We would say, commander's intent, I'm going to give you the opportunity to show your initiative. But then, shut the fuck up, man, and don't ask me the questions, because I need you to do this thing. And quite often, I could give you the answer, but that would force more time on me to have an answer to give you.
Absolutely.
So it is more work for the leader, right?
It is, and going from when you start at boot camp, and we're getting these guys or girls and guys, Marines at, after doing 3 months of basic boot camp, and they're pretty much told, forget everything you've learned your entire life and do this. Explode their mind into 9 million different pieces that are now in orbit in their brain. And then now we're trying to draw them back in. It's okay to bring your past experiences to your current job.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be Marines sometimes that come through, even if he's 18, 19, or she's 18 or 19 years old, that have past experiences that they might teach you something.
Yeah.
And I don't think we did that in the past, and I think it's good that we're finally seeing the opportunity for them to learn, for us to learn from them and them to learn from us.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So you've mentioned, obviously, going back to Force Design 2030. What is the trajectory going forth now that you came in 2020, 2025, halfway there for you? What's the forward trajectory looking like in developing SOI to meet the needs of that?
So we had, in 2020, they had the inception of Infantry Marine Corps, IMC. And now, over the past year, myself, the other gunnery sergeants at SOI East and SOI West, and other leaders that are there have worked really hard to take the IMC course that we had transitioned from basic infantry Marine course that had been standing for over 20 years, and they designed it into this course that had a lot of capabilities, had a lot of competencies and competencies towards the skill acquisition level in the different areas that we teach at SOI. And then over the last year, we revamped that off of our data that we've collected since 2020 to 2024, and then revamped it into our new course with the understanding of, like I talked about before, the hybrid model of having those capabilities, figuring out what exactly the private needs to learn, and they can retain, because with so much information,
sure,
you can only give them so much information every day for them to actually be able to retain. So how much can we give them? How much can they retain? And then build that course off of that. We just slapped the table on it in March of this year. The general signed off on the new 12-week, so we went from a 14-week IMC Infantry Marine course down to a 12-week. And instead of it being it would be a 14-week course with a 4-week bolt-on for weapons MOSs. It's now 12 weeks where all the Marines will be trained. So it'll be 7 weeks of infantry common core, and then an additional 4.5 weeks of training, which will be their specific MOS. So getting them those basics for their main TNR tasks, with addition to, in conjunction with the skill acquisition levels of expertise, and then moving them into their individual MOSs and getting them trained in that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you said, you were talking about data. And I think that's another aspect of the Marine Corps that I wish we had embraced when I was in, but is that sort of data-centric model. So you are able to quantify, other than just like, hey, look at my graduation rate, or like whatever is, you're actually looking and seeing like what is working, what isn't working, and having that baseline underpinning of analytics that are showing that this is actually a thing.
Absolutely, yeah. and with the way we gather data nowadays, whether it's human performance or regular infantry tasks, or just all our training events, going through those different things like our outcomes-based learning, through multiple different evaluations, but putting them in a problem-based learning environment putting them in some type of kinetic environment. So you start out the basics, you teach them the lane training, you teach them how to do it, and then you put them into that problem-based scenario where they can then, with friction, different kinetic type things, then they can make their decision and get put in a stressful environment where they're having to make those decisions and use those skills.
Yeah, outcomes-based learning is one of those sort of it's like buzzwords you see a lot, but it's the ability to connect, using that, say, hey, we're doing this versus actually achieving it. Is two different things. What have been the obstacles in making sure that you're able to perform true outcomes-based learning, and how successful has it been so far?
I would say it's been very successful. And again, like when we revamped the course and reestablished it to the 12-week, we really looked at were we giving them too much information at times, or were we doing it the right way? And I think off the data we collected for the last 4 years, which at times was it was a very, I wasn't there at the beginning of it, but I was there slightly towards the beginning, where it was hard for the instructors who had gone through basic infantry Marine course when they went through SOI.
Yeah.
For them to understand that we were going to introduce something, kind of evaluate it, and then leave it be for a second, go move on to something else, and then reintroduce it at a different time, so that way they can recall the knowledge and then build upon the knowledge with you're kind of scaffolding them up, spiraling them back to it, and then building it back through that.
So get your reps and sets in, essentially.
Reps and sets are everything. With the understanding what the data collection is, which we can get into with the Dreyfus model for the skill acquisition levels of expertise, the novice to expert, that we're constant learning. And that's the thing that we try to drive home with the students and the instructors. Is that you're not just, before it was, okay, you mastered this TNR task, you're done, you're complete, wait till you reevaluate on it again. Now it's making everybody understand that we're constantly learning. Even if you're from the PFC level all the way up to the E9 level, you're continuously learning and you're building your skill set. So even when you start out and you're graduating SOI, I'd say a novice level at a certain competency, as you move through your career and you move to your advanced level schools and stuff, you're going to build more levels of responsibility and different tasks you have to do. So then maybe you move back down to a different level because you're new to this and now you're learning that again. So just understanding that you're never good to go. You have to continuously study. I think that goes into the MCDP of learning. That's something that I think it was published 2021, 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fairly recent, yeah.
Yeah, that's huge for the Marine Corps because, like you talked about before, it's, we were very dumb and it was just learn this, fire your weapon, get off the line.
It has in a TNR, so just go do it, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's more, you learned it, sustain it, reevaluate it again.
That's great.
So I feel like actually we've been remiss. We usually approach our conversations differently. Tell us your story. How did you get into position at Infantry Training Battalion?
So I started out 2022. I came through combat instructor school, coming from 3rd LCT. Went through there, got put in Charlie Company. Once I graduated, I got sent to ITB. Was in Charlie Company, started out, and to benefit, started out as a squad instructor as an 0369, and had the ability to move through every single billet. So squad instructor up to platoon sergeant, up into assistant operations chief, and then moving to the chief instructor role at Charlie Company, and then from there moved into the battalion course chief role, which oversees the company. So I've been overseeing Delta Company for the last year, and their training, keeping them in line with the POI, because there is a lot that goes into the POI, especially with the TNRs being practically doubled upon the instructors and the students. There's a lot of information that has to be rudder steered the correct way. And then now moving to the chief instructor role, with us rolling out the course next month in May with Charlie Company, who's actually going to be doing the inception of it. There's going to be a lot of differences, but also familiarities as well from the basic infantry Marine course and the infantry Marine course that started in 2020.
And where are you from originally?
Tampa, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're sort of in that. And was the Marine Corps like something that you always wanted to do, or Was it one of these things where, like, saw a recruiter and he looked good in his blues, and so I went and did the benefit tags thing?
So I grew up playing football. I love being part of a team. Got hurt my senior year. Didn't really pan out. I knew I still wanted to be part of a team. Originally looked at the Army.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't join the Army. Marine Corps recruiter found me when I was doing college. My parents were pushing me hard to go to college. All I wanted to do was, I kind of asked myself the question when I was making that decision at 18 was, what do I want to do? Do I want to be part of a team? Where do I want to go from here? And the Marine Corps recruiter snagged me at the right time. And I realized, I wasn't going to get guaranteed anything, but I was going to get guaranteed to be a Marine, and everything seemed to be in line with my own morals and virtues. So then I took the leap in 2015. Joined the Marine Corps. I always knew that if I was going to join the military, I was going to be in the infantry or tracks. That was the two top jobs I wanted. So I joined the infantry, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome.
So as we close our interview here, we're at Modern Day Marine. Obviously, you can hear noise in the background. What's your advice to any young Marine coming here, especially because we mentioned earlier this is a very tech-heavy generation. How can they best take advantage of this experience?
At Modern Day Marine, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say just walk around, talk to people, learn the capabilities, because I think everybody, no matter what rank you walk into, you can learn something here. There's multitudes of capabilities that we either have seen already or are going to see in the future. It's pretty mind-blowing, and I would say just soak it all in, just like you should continue to learn. Come here with an open mind and your note-taking gear and learn.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Well, Gunny, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely appreciate you guys.
All right.
Scuttlebutt is a production of the Marine Corps Association. You have heard the voices or contributions from Major Vic Rubel, USMC retired, Nancy Lichman, William Truding, and our guest. Ty Frazier is the editor, sound engineer, and technical producer. The Marine Corps Association is not an agency of the U.S. government. The opinions expressed in this episode are the personal views of the participants and do not reflect the official position of the United States Marine Corps, the Department of Defense, or the Marine Corps Association.